Welcome back, folks. Thanks for tuning into our channel. We are the Cigar Ambassadors, and we have yet another wonderful group of things to talk to you about. Our topics of today are going to be most interesting. I think you're going to enjoy them, and we're going to bring as much energy to them as we possibly can so that you have as much fun as we're having. So Bob,
what are we talking about today, Louis? We're going to talk about lounge etiquette.
Yes.
Right. What should you do when you're in a lounge? What's okay? What isn't okay?
Yeah.
And I think the first topic that we really want to cover in that is smoke the shop cigars. That lounge area is not generating any revenue for the owner of that lounge. It's there for his customers to smoke his cigars. Now, some lounges will have cutting fees that if you bring your own stick, okay. If they've said that's okay, you know, be sure to pay them what they're asking for.
Right.
If you're going to smoke your own cigar anyway, buy something at the lounge. But support that brick and mortar shop, because if you don't, it may go away. And particularly in a COVID-19 environment with so many lounges having shut down or having to go to mail order or delivery just to survive, it's important to support those local businesses.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. It's like, if any of you go to a high-end steakhouse, do you bring your own steak? I don't think so. You know, but just like if you bring a bottle of wine, there's a corkage fee. So if you go to a brick and mortar and you like to maybe bring your own cigar, buy one or two on the house, support them, because you do want that business to remain open so you have somewhere to go and to smoke your cigar and to meet up with friends and do what you've been doing in a social type setting. Well, I don't know how much more we can say to that other than don't be that guy that just comes in and never buys anything from the house. Not a good way to support your brick and mortar. But now we have the other topic of discussion, which is great because there's so many things that lounges are doing that are different. We can get a little bit more into that in detail. But when it comes to lighters and cutters, how many times have you forgotten to bring your lighter or your cutter or both, and when you borrow someone's cutter and lighter, how do you treat that? Well, personally, Bob, before you get an answer, if I don't have a lighter or cutter and the house has one, I'm going to use the house lighter and cutter. But there's a little bit of a change in the lounge system now because they don't have them out because of COVID-19. So what you consequently have to do is buy a relatively inexpensive cutter and a lighter. You know, you can get a decent lighter for about $10 and something you can probably leave in your vehicle or just make sure you carry it with you. But what do you do, Bob?
I was going to ask you, Louis, if I could borrow your cutter. You mind if I borrow
you're going to be that guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to ask somebody to borrow their cutter, usually somebody will offer.
Yeah.
They'll see that you don't have one, someone will offer. But if you're going to ask somebody to borrow their cutter, please don't put your cigar in your mouth before doing it. I mean, that's bad hygiene to start with, but in this environment, that's a horrible thing to do. I want to encourage you not to do that.
Yeah, don't wet your cigar all up, chew on it, and then ask to borrow my cutter. That's going to be a hard no.
The other thing is, if you're borrowing a lighter, treat it kindly.
Please.
You know, be sure you don't drop it. Don't toss it back to the person that you borrowed it from.
Right.
Be kind. Be thoughtful.
And be immediate with returning it. That's what I want to say, because some people tend to forget, and I've seen this happen. They take ownership of that lighter and cutter and wind up, out of habit, putting it in their pockets, and it's like, no, the guy that you borrowed it from, you need to return it to immediately.
I've seen a lot of shop lighters disappear that way.
Yes, they do.
Band removal. You know, this is one that's kind of interesting, because there are cigar clubs where the custom is to remove your band, and this has provoked a lot of discussion. And the theory behind it is, should I remove my band so that I'm not flaunting what I'm smoking, right?
Yeah.
That I'm smoking a high-end cigar, you're smoking, I don't know, maybe a mixed filler cigar, for all I know. And we remove our bands, it makes us equal. I frankly think that this has gotten to be a little absurd in even having the discussion about it. There are still people I know who remove their cigar bands.
Yeah.
But in all the lounges, the hundreds of lounges that I've been in, I've never seen this be an issue, honestly. And I think nobody really cares what you're smoking. I've asked people what they're smoking based upon seeing their band, because I think it's a really cool looking band.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is no longer a status sort of issue from what I've seen in the lounges that I've been in. But the problem with removing your band really is the fact that the glue often will stick to that wrapper and you're going to tear your wrapper. So it is, in my opinion, not bad form to leave the cigar band on your wrapper till it's burned close enough where that glue has loosened, and then you can remove it so that you can smoke the rest of your cigar.
If you even care at all, because some people don't smoke past the band, though, right? So,
I've never understood that, but yes,
Yeah.
I've seen that too, Louis.
well, and the other thing too is, let me just add to this, that if you feel as though you're more superior with your cigar than the person next to you that's smoking, and you want them to enjoy what you're having, then give them one.
There you go. Share.
Okay, share.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. And then there's also the etiquette with being considerate, Bob. In the lounge, a lot of things happen. People come in and they take a phone call and they forget they're in mixed company. Phone conversation is loud, or they play music on their phone.
Watch
videos and turn up at a volume that is not for everyone else's listening pleasure. And then there's the other caveat, right? Be careful about the conversations you bring up in the lounge. Some of the things that are not really going to garner a good feeling for others is politics and religion. Those are taboo for most lounges, unless you're with a company of people that that was your purpose of being there today, to have those conversations. So you're in that pod.
Know your audience.
Know your audience.
I mean, there are people I think that you and I both would not smoke with because of their propensity to bring up those subjects.
Right.
On the subject of thoughtfulness, conversation.
Yeah.
Don't monopolize it. Don't be the center of attention. I remember one person shared it this way. He said, assume everybody in that environment has 25 cents to spend. You can spend yours all at once,
Yeah.
and then you're done.
Yeah.
Or you can spend it, a penny at a time,
Yeah.
or anywhere in between. But be thoughtful of others, and don't monopolize that conversation. Another piece is be inclusive.
Yeah.
Particularly if you have guests in the lounge, people
Yeah.
who haven't been there before, include them in the conversation. Go out of your way to make it a friendly environment. Along those lines, when you see fresh meat, shall we say,
Yeah.
in the lounge, don't repeat the same stories that you have told over and over again. And we've seen that.
We've experienced that.
Many times. So be thoughtful. Everybody doesn't need to know your life story or your best stories from life.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful of the others in that environment.
Yeah, and there's nobody in the lounge to be impressed by what it is you have to offer, right? We've had a ton of different stories that were sensationalistic from one end of the spectrum to the next, and you gotta know your audience, like Bob said, but read the room, folks. We've had, in our situation, our lounge, a lot of guys who are prior military, some were still active at the time, and you got people that come in and spin these stories about what they've done in the military or even in business, and they don't know the people they're talking to. And so that you can be called out on some stuff that you're talking about that's really got nothing to do with anything. But now, as we move past that, because we don't want you to be that guy, at the end of the day, when you finish with your cigar, there's a ceremony that most of us practice that has been smoking for a while, right? And that is not stamping out the cigar like you're a cigarette smoker. The cigar requires a proper burial.
Shall we demonstrate?
Let's demonstrate. We are done with our cigar for the day, folks, and here's what we do. Put it down and walk away. It will go out all on its own. You don't have to stamp it out and leave that awful burning smoke putrid, acrid. Oh, it's despicable, and everyone that you leave that with behind is going to be really pissed off at you, because here it is now, they got to breathe in all this smoke from what you left behind, and it's not a good thing, folks. Just put it down. Whether you put it here or you drop it in the ashtray by itself, that's all you got to do. The cigar will take care of itself.
I think the last thing we really wanted to cover was alcohol in the lounge.
Absolutely. How did we forget that?
I don't know. We drink a bit. A couple of things. If you're in a lounge and you bring in a bottle, plan on sharing it.
Absolutely.
If you haven't brought in a bottle and somebody is sharing it, be thoughtful of the fact that you're drinking somebody else's liquor and you have been invited to that.
Yes.
And next time, bring in something to share.
Yeah, expect to share and pour your fair amount of someone else's beverage. Because they offered it doesn't mean you got to pour half the bottle into your glass.
And we've seen that.
And we've seen that. And, you know, and don't always come in and be the moocher. You know, that is, you would have, I guess, it's like wearing a ring of garlic around your neck. You know, people start avoiding you. You don't realize that if every time you come into the lounge, you never have a cigar, you never have a cutter, a lighter, and you never bring anything to drink, and you start to see people shy away from you, you're that guy. Don't be the moocher. And you know what? Sharing is caring. So if you bring a bottle in, don't try to hoard it and say, well, I only brought this in for me, because the expectation is if you put a bottle out that the lounge allows you to bring your own, expect to share it. But then know that sharing is caring, and somebody else is going to do the same for you. So guys, I think we covered a lot about etiquette, but there's so much more that we left out, because this isn't the last time we're going to be talking about any of this. But we do want you to be cognizant of the things that you do and your behavior when you're in a lounge and hanging out with others. So on that note, we want to thank you for joining us again today. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our channel, and we'll see you next time. But don't forget to hit that bell. That will give you notification to be alerted when our next episode is published. Thank you again. We're the Cigar Ambassadors. Until next time, smoke well.